Greetings from Mindful Stoicism again. Have you ever been in a situation where someone who hurt you, left you, or caused you emotional pain suddenly reappears in your life? It's a strange and unsettling feeling, isn't it? You may have assumed that their departure was final because when they left, it felt like the end of the chapter, you healed and moved on, but now they're returning as if nothing happened. These are questions that many of us struggle with, and they're not as simple as they might seem on the surface. It may seem illogical or confusing when someone who caused you pain suddenly wants to re-enter your life. But in reality, there are psychological reasons behind this behavior that aren't always about you. Needs or fears will explore the psychology of why people who have wronged you may return in today's video, as well as how to apply the insights of Stoic philosophy to successfully negotiate this difficult emotional landscape. Stoicism teaches us the important lesson of emotional resilience, which emphasizes that while we cannot control other people's actions, we can control how we react. Your capacity to maintain composure when someone returns will determine whether you are able to control your emotions or allow the circumstances to dictate how you react. Because your choice of response in this time can either lead you back into a cycle of grief and confusion or help heal your heart, cloud your calm to the very end. This video focuses on how you may use this information to safeguard your serenity and make informed decisions for your mental health, not merely how to comprehend their motivations. Let's dive deeper into why this happens. 1. The power of guilt. One of the most powerful emotions that can drive someone to return after hurting you is guilt. Guilt is an incredibly uncomfortable feeling, one that often compels people to take action to ease the internal conflict they experience. When someone hurts you, they might not fully understand the depth of their actions in the moment. Their decisions may have been impulsive, selfish, or even unintentional, and the repercussions of those actions may not have become clear to them until later. The absence of your presence in their life can force them to confront the consequences of their behavior in a way that no other event or interaction can. When they begin to realize the pain they've caused, the guilt starts to weigh heavily on them. They may start to question themselves. Did I make a mistake? Was it worth it? In many cases, they feel a deep sense of regret for their actions, especially if they begin to see you thriving or moving on without them. The idea that they've permanently lost you can be a painful realization. This guilt can push them to return, hoping for forgiveness or reconciliation so that they can at least ease the burden they feel within themselves. However, it's important to note that while guilt can be a motivator for their return, it's not necessarily an indication of true growth or a shift in character. Sometimes people return because they want to alleviate their own discomfort, not necessarily because they've changed or fully understand the harm they've caused. From a Stoic perspective, we cannot control the emotions or actions of others. The return of someone motivated by guilt is something external, and we should not let it dictate our emotional state. As Stoics, we learn to focus on our own growth and inner peace, recognizing that while others may feel guilt, we must remain detached from their emotional baggage. Their return is their responsibility. To navigate your peace comes from within, not from their actions. One of the strongest reasons someone who has wronged you could come back is the deep, often unconscious fear of losing you forever. This fear isn't always motivated by love or even a desire to make amends, but rather by the realization that they may have lost someone important in their lives at the time of departure. And while they may not have fully understood your value at the time, the absence of you becomes irrefutable with time and distance. The fear of losing you forever can be caused by a number of different things. For example, they may have taken you for granted, thinking you would always be there, or they may have realized how much they depended on you until it was gone. In either case, the thought of living without you becomes overwhelming. This anxiety may be brought on by feelings of rejection or loneliness, or it may even be sparked by witnessing you move on and succeed without them. Humans are hardwired to avoid losing things, particularly in relationships. It's not about regretting the hurt they caused. Rather, it's about the uncomfortable realization that their world has changed in a way they didn't expect, and they want to reclaim a piece of it. This is why some people who have hurt you in the past may return in an attempt to regain what they lost. They may not be prepared to fully commit to a healthy long-term relationship, but they fear the idea of you becoming a distant memory or finding happiness without them. As Stoics, we are taught to detach from results. You have no influence over their concerns or behaviors, but you do have power over your own. If they return out of fear, acknowledge that this is their internal issue and that it is not your job to resolve it. Your composure must not be disturbed by their fears or insecurities. 3. The validation cycle. One of the key reasons someone may return after hurting you is the need for validation. People often seek external validation to feel worthy or loved, and this need can become an overwhelming force in their lives in the context of relationships. Validation isn't just about affirming their worth. It's about reassuring themselves that they matter, that they're desirable, and that they are still capable of maintaining a connection with someone. When someone hurts you and then walks away, they may feel a temporary sense of relief or satisfaction, but with time they often face a deep inner void. This void stems from the absence of the validation you once provided. The love, attention, and affirmation you gave them may have been their source of self-esteem, and without it, they might feel unimportant, invisible, or incomplete. In other words, when they left, they may have unknowingly severed a crucial source of validation that they didn't even realize they needed so badly until it was gone over time. This feeling of emptiness can become overwhelming. They may start to second-guess their decision to leave, wondering if they made a mistake by rejecting the positive feedback and emotional support you once provided in an attempt to fill this emotion gap. They return to you not necessarily because they want to repair the hurt they caused, but because they crave the validation they once had. They want to know that despite their past actions, you still care enough to welcome them back. However, this cycle can become toxic. It places the responsibility for their emotional well-being on you, and it often ignores the real damage they have caused by returning for validation alone. They may not truly recognize the harm they've done, and their return can end up being a selfish attempt to soothe their own insecurities, rather than genuinely repairing the relationship. A true Stoic understands that validation should not be sought from others, but from within. Your worth is inherent. You do not need someone's return to feel complete when they come back seeking validation. Remember, your peace should never depend on someone else's recognition of your value. For the test of character, when someone who has hurt you returns, it's not just a test of their intentions, it's a test of your character. This moment is a reflection of who you are and how well you have cultivated your emotion resilience. Consider it a crossroads. The choice you select here will demonstrate the depth of your character, your ability to get past your previous traumas, and your ability to keep your inner peace. The Stoic response to such circumstances is to rise above the emotional turmoil and face it with discernment, lucidity, and restraint. You should never let other people's behavior to control your emotional state because you are not a slave to it. When they return, you have the chance to demonstrate your self-mastery, your ability to learn from the past, and your capacity for composure in the face of outside disturbances. Your response at this moment is very important. Will you react with rage, hatred, or a desire for vengeance? Or will you show courage by refusing to let their return disturb your tranquility? Although we may feel offended or tempted to react rashly, Stoicism teaches us to remain unaffected by outside events and that we have the ability to regulate our responses. Here, it's important to act with purpose rather than emotion. This is where your practice of detachment comes in handy. Detachment isn't the same as being uncaring about the person. Rather, it's about letting go of any unhealthy attachment to results. If they come back with the intention of making amends, you don't have to make a snap decision or allow your feelings to control you. Impair your judgment. You can decide to carefully consider the circumstances, understanding that your inner peace and well-being originate from within rather than from whether or not they are still in your life. In the end, this is a test of your emotional fortitude and your capacity to remain loyal to who you are, regardless of what other people may think. When they come back, what should you do? You may be inclined to embrace someone who has wronged you, forgive and forget them, or give them another chance when they reappear in your life. This can cause a flurry of feelings, including perplexity, anger, sadness, and even longing. However, Stoicism teaches us that external events, such as the return of a painful person, should not control our mental health. Therefore, what should you do right now? Above all, it's critical to take a minute to think and not act hastily or in response to the feelings of the moment. Stoicism imparts the skill of emotional detachment, which is the capacity to put distance between a circumstance and your response to it. Step aside and give yourself some space to reflect. Consider what they really want from me and why they are returning. Is their return a sign of sincere regret, or is it just a sign that they need affirmation or that they miss you? When someone comes back after hurting you, it's important to assess your own feelings and boundaries. Have you fully recovered from the pain they caused you? Are you prepared to emotionally re-engage with them, or do you still need time to regain your own sense of peace? Knowing their motivations is crucial to deciding how you should react. Finally, let go of the notion that their return is required for your pleasure or closure, because genuine inner peace originates internally, not from the approval or presence of another person. The return of someone who has wronged you can be emotionally confusing, but by using Stoic wisdom, you can handle it with grace. Stoicism teaches that by controlling your own reactions and decisions, you retain control over your life regardless of what others do. When they return, stay rooted in your own values and make decisions that reflect your inner strength and peace. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to Mindful Stoicism for more insights on how Stoic philosophy can help you lead a peaceful, empowered life. If you've ever been in a situation similar to this, share your thoughts in the comments so we can discuss how you've handled similar situations. Keep in mind that their actions are beyond your control, but your response is entirely within your control. Use this as an opportunity to strengthen your character and maintain your peace regardless of what they do.